Hi everybody, welcome to my channel. My name's Mark. It's been a while since I've been able to post on this channel because I had a bike accident and I hit a hole and flipped over and broke both my arms. Here, and I bruised both shoulder joints. So I wasn't able to do a video for a while, but I wanted to try to get back into it as quickly as I can, and I feel that after about 5 weeks I'm ready to start getting back into it. So I'm going to try to do what I can. And what's happening with me is right now I've been thinking about traveling around, going to Thailand and places like that, but right now I'm not sure if you're aware of it or not, but a lot of the banks are crashing, are collapsing. We had 2 banks collapse a while back, and there was 8 more that collapsed yesterday. And it looks to me like the people who are trying to make a digital currency in the United States are planning to try to collapse all the small banks in the United States and then push their digital currency here in the United States to force more control over all the people here in the United States. So that's what I think is happening, and because of that I'm a little bit afraid to go over to Thailand, because I get over to Thailand and then I can't get money out of the ATM and I'm screwed. So, and that's part of their plan. Way back in Agenda 21 they were talking about restricting people's travel, and this is how they're going to do it. Once they control the money, they can control who can go where, and if they don't like you, they can just shut you off from the banking system. And in the future, that's what they're going to be able to do. And once they get to that point, you won't be able to go anywhere. And so what's happening right now is you're having a major shift in the financial market and the financial system in the United States. And globally, you have a major shift in the financial system. You got the BRICS thing going on, which is going to completely crash the economy in the United States. And that's probably one of the reasons why a lot of the banks are collapsing. They're trying to consolidate all the banks so they can have more control once the rest of the world shifts over to the BRICS system. So you got a huge problem there. And that's how I think the United States is trying to compensate for that problem. But they're not, the regular average person watching the regular media is not going to know anything about all this. And so they're going to be taken completely by surprise. And I think that's the way they want it. They don't want anybody to know about it. But I'm here telling you what I know about it, and so that you can prepare yourself a little bit. I mean, one of the reasons I came here to Saipan was so... I mean, I anticipated the possibility of an economic collapse, and if that happens here in Saipan, there's a freshwater lake, there's fruit and vegetables in the jungle, and I can catch fish in the ocean, so I can survive here. But anywhere else in the world, I can't say that. Even if I'm in Thailand, Thailand's too populated. I'll have to go way out into the jungle in Thailand to be able to survive, and I would be illegal because I'm not even a Thai citizen, so I wouldn't be able to do the same thing there that I can do here. Here I'm at least legal. I'm a legal U.S. citizen, so I can legally live here, whereas if I'm in Thailand, I wouldn't be legal for very long if the economy collapsed. And so that's one of the reasons that's keeping me from traveling around, is because I'm worried that this is going to happen any day. And then we got the situations with the military situation in Ukraine. I think that's just about ready to wrap up, because the fact of the matter is Ukraine doesn't have any soldiers left. They've killed them all. And now they're literally dragging people out of college classrooms and off the street and forcing them to go fight in a war they don't want to fight. And now it's got to the point where all the mothers of these people are actually going and protesting in the capital, in Kiev. So if I was Putin, I would say now is the time to take some Spetsnaz and take over Kiev, because Zelensky done left and he ain't coming back anytime soon. He expects you to take over the capital, and I think he wants it to be over just as bad as everyone else. And right now he's acting like he's going on tour asking everybody for money and weapons, but he don't have any people to use the weapons. And so the only next step is either they're going to involve NATO or it's going to be over. And I don't think NATO wants to get involved, because if NATO gets involved, it's going to be World War III. And I think they're holding back because they're worried about what's happening with China. And so all the way around, it's not a real good situation economically. So I like to propose things about what you could do. What are you going to do about all this? I don't know whether you have a job or not. I'm out of a job. I'm looking for a job. I got computer skills. I don't have a job. And so there might be a whole lot of other people like me in the mainland United States. What are you going to do? If you already don't have any job, you're not losing anything by coming here. If you got the money to come here, you're not losing anything. If you're looking at the economy completely collapsing and nobody's going to have a job, then you're not losing anything by coming here. If that's the perspective that you have, that the economy is going to collapse anyway, and once it does, it's going to get a whole lot worse. If you were in the 1929 Depression, where would you want to be? I would rather be here than in the mainland U.S. So that's the kind of perspective I have. Now, decisions. Every single decision that you make is going to have a major effect on your life, even small ones. The quality of our decisions, the quality of our life is directly affected by the quality of our decisions. So you have to think long and hard about any decisions that you make, especially important ones. And like I said, my decision is to stay here instead of go to Thailand is because if I get over to Thailand and I can't use the ATMs, I'm going to be screwed. So that's a decision that's majorly affecting my YouTube channel, because my other YouTube channel, because it's a travel channel. I can't go anywhere if it's a travel channel. And so I got to do what I can here with that channel. But with this channel here, I'm trying to provide you information and give you ideas about things that you might be able to do to help yourself. One thing you're going to want to do is stock up on tools, reduce your risk, your financial risk. I wouldn't be making any decisions about financial risk right now. That's not a real good plan. That's the same way, well, like I said, I'm not going traveling around to Thailand or anyways, because it's too much of a risk. I can't afford it. And so if you're looking at investing and stuff like that, all the investors of all these small banks lost all their money. They're the only ones who didn't get anything from the government. Everybody else, all the small people who had deposits and stuff like that, they got insured by the federal government. But what's happening is that the federal government is taking over these small banks and giving it to the big banks like JP Morgan Chase. So that's what I'm saying. They're consolidating all the small banks and putting them into the big banks so that they can shift over and make it more under control when the economy completely collapses because of the BRIC system, of the rest of the world shifting to the BRIC system and getting rid of the petrodollar. So this is going to remove the leverage that the United States has over other countries, because they're not going to use the United States dollar anymore. And that's going to have a major effect. And it's coming soon, which is why they're doing what they're doing with the small banks here in the United States. So you need to prepare for all that and think wisely about your finances, because if you don't, you're not going to have another chance. This is the time now to make those preparations. And okay, so another thing I want to talk about leading into this is that beliefs. I see a lot of arguing and stuff on the internet about beliefs. Different people believing different things and making them crazy. You have the difference between Democrats and Republicans, or the difference between communism and capitalism. These are beliefs. And I can make an entire video off every single one of these beliefs, so I'm not going to try to explain each individual one. I'm just going to try to emphasize what you believe you're going to perceive. And even if it's wrong, you're going to think it's right, and that might not necessarily be the case. So I want to go all the way through all these real quick, because I don't have a lot of time to explain every single one, because like I said, it could make an entire video off of each one. But let's break it down. Okay, I want to go with Democrats first. I was a Democrat for 30 years, and then I switched to Republican. Democrats think that they're better than everyone else because they think they feel sorry for the underdog, or the people who don't have any money, or the people who are homeless, or this kind of stuff. But the fact of the matter is that the Democrats are actually leaning towards socialism, and socialism has killed, or communism, which socialism and communism usually evolve into the same thing. It's rare that you're ever going to see that neither one of the systems work. Socialism or communism doesn't work, and the Democratic Party is directly affiliated with socialism and communism. They've got direct contributions straight from the CCP, which is the Communist Party of China, and they've implemented all kinds of socialist ideas, and they've tried to paint socialism like it's something that's really great. But the bottom line is, you got to look at all the countries who tried communism and look at what happened. Look at Cambodia, for example. How many thousands of people died in Cambodia? Look at Russia. How many thousands of people died in Russia? And one of the common threads that I see, even in China now, they're prosecuting the Uyghur Muslims and a bunch of other people, and they basically have killed their own people, thousands and thousands of their own people. And what I see, a pattern that I see in communism is, first of all, you can't logically argue communism in the perspective of sociology. It doesn't work. It's not even logical. So what they do is they resort to name calling, and they try to browbeat you down and make you think, like, if you try to talk rationally with a communist or a socialist, they're going to try to call you names and stuff like that to try to make you think that they're right just because they're calling you names. And that's not, because that goes all the way back to Marx. When he used to do debates in sociology, he'd lose. So he just decided to change tactics and just call people names and try to browbeat and beat them down in order to get their points across. But the fact is, they don't have any point. For example, if you take what they're doing with usually what happens in communism and socialism is the people who are in the political parties usually wind up getting rich. One point that I want to note about the Democratic Party in the United States is that George Soros is the #1 contributor for the Democratic Party in the United States. He was a real Nazi in Germany, okay? And he tried to implement a lot of the agenda that the Nazi Party had in Germany here in the United States. And he's using all of his billions of dollars to try to push socialism and communism here in the United States, just like they did with Hitler. So when the Democratic Party tries to act like they're not involved with socialism and communism, you can trace it back. Look at the #1 contributor of the Democratic Party. Look at him hard. Look at what he's done. He's created all the chaos with the southern border, with the immigration and all that stuff. He's created Antifa. He's done all this radical stuff. Every time you look at a problem, George Soros has got his fingers in the pie. So look at what they do, not what they say. And now let's go to the Republican side of the fence. Because like I said, I was a Democrat for 30 years, then I went to Republican. I became a Republican because of Donald Trump. And I followed Donald Trump. I was reading Donald Trump's books a long time ago, back in 1996, and I was a fan of his way back then. And when he went to the Republican Party, I went from Democrat to Republican. So that's one of the things that led me into the Republican Party. The second thing that led me into the Republican Party is because at that time I was an investor in the stock market, and I was getting advice from people who were Republicans because I didn't trust the Democrats because they're always not about money. The Republicans are about money. So I wanted advice from people who know about money. So that also led me into the Republican Party. And the difference between the Republicans and the Democrats, from my perspective and from what I've known and what I've gathered, is that the Republicans are about family values. They're about they want the Democrats are kind of sneaky. If you look at the Democratic government and what they're doing, look at they've weaponized the DOJ, they've weaponized the FBI against the Republicans. They went after Trump like 3 or 4 times, and all of the things that they went after him for turned out to be lies. Schiff has lied his butt off left and right. Pelosi lied her butt off. All these people lying their butts off about these things that aren't true. Republicans are different in that they usually always present the facts. And the things that they're about are, a lot of them are Christians, but not all of them. I'm a Republican, but I'm not a Christian. But I do still believe that it boils down to what you think is wrong and right. And Democrats believe that the thing is, another thing you got to think about is subversion, because a lot of the things that the Democrats accept as being okay in their party is also part of subversion tactics, which the Communist Party uses to completely create chaos in society so they can implement their political agenda. And that's another thing that you got to understand. A lot of people don't understand that. And so you need to look up subversion and understand what subversion is and what it does. But basically, what it amounts to is they try to create chaos any way they can. Antifa, the gay rights thing, all the stuff that is causing all the trouble within the schools, within the streets, the riots and all that stuff, that's all created by the Democrats. And they're doing it so they can implement communism in the United States. And so you need to go research that stuff if you don't understand it, because it's important. The second thing I wanted to talk about is that even on the Republican side, there's a lot of people who are fanatical Christians, and they believe so. I'm trying to talk about beliefs, and because beliefs will interpret how you view reality. And I was a Christian. I was a Lutheran, Methodist, and then when I went in the Air Force, I became a Catholic and then a Protestant, and I had a girlfriend who was a Jehovah's Witness, and so I read a couple of different versions of the Bible, and I studied a lot of different religions, and then I became a Buddhist, and the Buddhist made me study all the religions in the world so that I could hold an intelligent conversation with somebody of a different religion. So because of that, I learned about all different religions. And one of the things I have to say about Christianity is they get to a point, first of all, they believe in a book which is, in my opinion, false. If you research everything about the Bible, you're going to find out there was 4 different people back in the days of Jesus that had the exact same traits of Jesus. You can't have four different people having the same thing happen to them. Crucified, rose after 3 days, and all this kind of stuff. So if you have 4 people that have the same story, basically what I found out was that people used to create religions back in those days to get money. It's like begging money off the street, only you give them something to believe in. That's what they did back in those days. So the Bible, and the majority of the stuff in the Bible, was all made up by the Romans. And if you go back and research, you'll find all this out. But like I said, I can make a whole video about that. I can't go into that much detail in this video because I want to go on to different subjects. But my point is, Christians will believe so adamantly about the words in the Bible that they literally start hating everybody else. For example, Christians are anti-pornography. I see a lot of Christians who are majorly anti-pornography. But if you take the fact that sex is not evil, if it was, the human race would cease to exist. But Christians always act like everything sexual is completely evil and they got to get rid of it. And that's one perspective of Christianity that I think is wrong. But they don't realize that, and you can talk to them a dozen times about it and they'll never admit it. And that's one of the things I'm trying to tell you. And so if they're believing in a book that is just basically lies, and the result of that is hating people for it, is not beneficial. So it boils down to what you think is right and what you think is wrong. And when you can decide what is right and wrong for you and your family, but when it gets to the point where you start to push your religion into law, or force other people to believe the way you do, or shut down people's YouTube channels, or censor people online, or start getting into arguments and stuff like that, where you're starting to lash out at other people because of your beliefs, that's when you're going off the deep end. And for example, if you look at the majority of the religions that come from the Middle East, you got the Christians hating people. They had literally holy wars between the Christians and the Muslims. The Prophet Muhammad killed like 700 people by himself. So he was basically a serial killer. And then look at what happened as it evolved as a religion. You got all these stupid people believing in Muhammad, and what did they wind up doing? Killing thousands of people. Just mirrored what Muhammad did. So that religion, and one of the reasons why is because there's a chapter in the Quran that says, kill everybody who's not Muslim. And they will not, it's against their religion to change any word of the Quran. That's written in the Quran. So they cannot change even one word of the Quran because it's supposed to be the holiest of holy books. So they can't change a single word in the Quran. But there's one chapter in the Quran that says, kill everybody who's not Muslim. Lay in wait for them. Lie to them. That's what it says. So if that's what it says, then that book is, no, that book is crazy already. It's got to be changed, or the people have to believe something different. If you're believing something that makes people crazy, then you gotta, it's not good. So I'm back to my point. You got so many different religions coming from the Middle East that turn out to be terroristic, but you look in contrast to the religions in India, where sex and spirituality was combined in many cases, and they don't have half as many problems as the religions from the Middle East. And there was a religion in Egypt where they used sex and religion combined. I don't really believe in Satanism because I don't really believe in the Bible, and if Satanism came from the Bible, then it pretty much makes Satanism not true too. But Satanism, the way they practice it in modern times, a lot of times they'll use sex and spirituality in connection with each other. So my point is, it makes a big difference what you're believing and how you're going to treat other people based on your beliefs. That's my point. And I think everybody needs to reevaluate what they're believing and why they're believing it, so that we can have a better world collectively. Because there's a lot of people right now who are trying to divide us on all these lines, through race, through political, through religious. And if we don't get our heads straight, and now is the time to get our heads straight, these crazy people who are trying to divide us and conquer us are going to win. So we're going to have to think about what we believe, why we believe it, where did it come from, research the facts, so we know what is right and what is wrong. Because if we don't take the time to do that, this world is going to go insane. Literally, it's already insane. We got to do what we can to make it sane. Because if we don't, like I said, next election, 2024, based on what happened in the last election, I can't even talk about it, but based on what happened in the last election, if it happens again this election, there's going to be civil war in the United States, which is another reason to get out of the United States and come to Saipan or one of these other places around here, so that you're going to be away from all that. Because if you don't take preparations now or make preparations now, you're not going to have enough time to do it when the shit hits the fan. So I don't want to make this video too long. I just wanted to get into a few things that give you some ideas to think about, so that maybe you could help your life a little bit. And if you like this video, hit the like button, hit the subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.